Sticking around aimlessly, just as in Ebit Cad's song, this journey truly feels deeply discouraging and worrisome, and it is a pity that such a thing has actually become our reality. So Tapioca Factory exists on our premises, and a factory to process Aren sap exists there, but it cannot be used. The cornerstone to help development hasn't been laid yet, and you may not use the port. All of that has come to a halt.
The problem, sir?
My permits. I truly cannot understand why they must be so difficult, while all of this will extremely help the community.
Peace be upon you all. May God's mercy be upon you. Good evening. Today we return once again to Sampul, Sayyid, and a deep, grateful heart fills us. We are able to meet directly with one of the figures, I would say a national figure, because he has also traveled widely from region to region with information that is truly extraordinary. Then, with no delay, let us meet Mr. Will Smith. I simply call him Bapak to keep things warmer and more informal. Willie, Mr. Willie. Mr. Willie, what has become of our daily routine these days?
I have developed a broad range of systems that are truly sustainable for the careful and effective management of that land and for production processes that do not depend on fossil fuels, thereby supporting sustainable livelihoods across communities and regions, because oil, coal, and natural gas will not be around for very much longer. Therefore, if we persist in using fossil fuel-based energy systems, we will encounter serious and increasingly difficult challenges in the near future. And Indonesia also has obligations under the COP21 agreement in Paris, where I was also a speaker for Indonesia, that we must reduce greenhouse gas emissions. And Indonesia at that time was the third largest emitter of greenhouse gases in the world, even though we did not have industries comparable to China or the United States, all because of environmental degradation. If forests are damaged and peatlands damaged, that means a very large amount of greenhouse gas emissions. And that's what happens when forest fires occur, as in 1998 and again in 2015. So the smoke would reach the Arctic and could reach us as well. And that if it settles on the ice darkens and will trap more heat. It begins to melt. If the seas begin to open, the Earth's surface warms faster, and that would affect the circulation of water. People all around the world are affected by our tropical country, Catholic Sitiwa, and its people. There is a strong and lasting interest in creating a system that can assist communities to continually secure higher yields from their land without depending on artificial fertilizers. Indeed, in the near future, PT Pupuk Keltem may no longer be able to produce urea, because urea fertilizer is made from natural gas. If the natural gas runs out completely, who will still be able to carry on? Palm oil corporations are quite wealthy, yet society feels deep concern about how they will fare. So, we have developed a practical system using an organic fertilizer paired with a long-lasting fertilizer in the form of biochar, which is the name for it. It is a kind of charcoal produced with a specialized process at a specific temperature. If that is put in and mixed with bacteria placed in the soil, the land's productivity can rise 2 to 3 times higher. It has water holding capacity 5 to 7 times higher. So when drought comes, crops will endure, not die of thirst, and people won't go hungry. So these are the solutions that constitute the essential key to the very aims we are actively pursuing, so that many people can be helped without depending on goods that must be brought from outside.
So today our focus is on renewable energy, sir, okay?
Sure, absolutely anything goes.
What can be maximized? And for your own province, which region are you active in?
Yes, right here in East Kalimantan, I have been trusted by Mr. Hashim to help develop and implement a durable intercropping system that can also generate useful energy. Energy derived from biomass resources worldwide, truly renewable. So, provided our wood can be converted using a technology that is known as pyrolysis. It becomes a type of charcoal, though very close in its properties to activated carbon, which can be used to filter water or to help reduce pollution, or further develop toward the next stage, turning into gas and biochar with biochar serving as a lasting fertilizer for soils. Thus, it is somewhat difficult to grasp at first. The point is that the gas can become a substance that replaces gasoline from the ground from its refinery, and biochar then becomes a permanent fertilizer that returns to the soil with the nutrients that were in the biomass inside the plant matter itself. So this represents a closed cycle once again. But the gas that is produced and becomes energy comes only from the process of photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is the fundamental life process powered by sunlight, drawing on CO2 gas and rain. In practice, this means that energy from the gas would come from the same natural process that feeds plants, so the system remains balanced as the plant-based material cycles back into the soil. This way, the source of power stays aligned with nature for soil-friendly energy. Thus, there is essentially nothing coming from the soil. Plants are energy producers that use bright sunlight to generate useful energy, which can be stored in a fuel tank to run a car for everyday transportation or for cooking meals for people. This is the basic, essential principle. And then if the Aren palm tree is used, it yields ethanol that can be used as fuel. If this sugar is fermented, it can become alcohol for drinking, but it can also serve as fuel for lamps, wok, or for sterilization, or to drive a motor. As in Papua, they have gasoline prices up to 50,000 rupiah per liter. This is more beneficial and could be a viable alternative.
Regarding everything you have conveyed about the efforts being carried out today, could you explain how the local community itself is fully participating?
If we have already brought superior seedlings from North Sulawesi, from Aren, and if we now travel from Kenangan to kilometer 15, we will see many areca palm trees there. And later, talk with the community. How many people alive right now actually trace their roots to the trees we brought earlier long ago? So there is clear evidence that every single day he can produce 15 to 20 liters of palm sap, the watery liquid, and that quantity can yield 2 kilograms of sugar. As for palm sugar that is commonly available in stores today, the current market price is roughly 40 to 50,000 rupiahs.
Which sugar is it, granulated or rock sugar?
So if that ain't sugar, just imagine how many rupiahs. So back when I got married in Indonesia, my dowry was 6 Aren palms.
That's actually really what's interesting, sir. Yes, I did receive information about marrying an Indonesian, and the dowry is the Aren tree. Well, how could that possibly be, sir? I wonder too.
I also became confused, and so I wondered how it could be possible to obtain a beautiful girlfriend with only the price of 6 areca palm trees like these. It turns out those 6 trees are enough to support the livelihood of a new family, so there I began to study right away. Therefore, I wrote a lot about the science of producing areca palm trees, and I looked at what the problems were in developing it. It turns out there are several challenges to face, 20 problems that must be addressed. One of them is that when we make sugar, we have to boil away the water to extract the sugar. But that requires a lot of firewood. So if there's a lot of Aren palm tree sap, the forest is exhausted indeed. Oh, what's the solution to that exactly? That's one indeed. And then if each farmer makes his own sugar from that sap, some mix in papaya, some mix in coconut to increase the volume together.
Eat chalk that is in.
There are several different kinds of bisulfites that they use as preservatives. There is no buyer willing to purchase it on a large scale because the product is not uniform. So that's another issue. Then what about the logistics? Because if we realize that Neuron ferments rapidly, turning into acid, and begins to ferment almost immediately, how can we maintain that process? And how can the logistics be organized so that the rapid fermentation can be guided to completion, yielding a product that meets standard specifications? Then what about marketing? This would require organic certification. Only then would people be willing to buy. And if they learn that the Aren palm tree grows only in mixed forests, this is what the world admires, since they regard the origin of the variety as an important attribute. So there is marketing, there is ecology, there are processes, there is logistics. All of these factors must be combined.
Talk about the arena's problems, or how large is our potential for our own PPU territory?
If I look at the evidence from the trees we have planted, and you can see how they have begun producing, we have already erected the factory there in the ITC site area, but we are not allowed to obtain any more industrial licensing. So, The tapioca factory already exists on our premises. The factory for processing Aren sap already exists, and it cannot be used for any purpose at this time, in this regard. That stone meant to assist development is not yet ready. We are not allowed to use the harbor. All of that has come to a halt.
What's the problem, sir?
Permits. I don't know why it has to be so very hard, since all of this will truly help the public in its infrastructure and in the job market. So yes, the bureaucracy, which in my view is something I understood even when I was a minister, because every minister is part of the broad and steady bureaucracy that carefully submits thoughtful proposals to the DPR for the main laws in our system of governance. But this bureaucracy also greatly hinders us from developing that new pattern, and the new situation proves difficult to fit into the existing system as it now stands at present.
That means as of now, we already have the correct resources to further support everything you have made or what you have already done.
At this moment in time, you can clearly see our infrastructure. We have built the tools and they are right there for you. The management of all systems is fully set up and has been thoroughly tested and proven to work. However, starting production is not allowed. It will no longer be granted an industry license for that use, because such a permit would classify it as industry, though it helps the community.
How are our farmers today in their condition? How are their results currently overseen?
Yes, there are many things that ultimately end up as drinks, and that's a pity, because if something ends up as an alcoholic beverage, it could rightly lead to social problems. It would be better if we could guide it to become sugar, and that would become a higher income product, and it would not generate social problems. I believe that would be the better option. So there should be some careful consideration about this idea. Come on, let's give it a try. But yeah.
Today the situation is quite bureaucratic.
Oh, bureaucracy.
Come on, just a little more, sir. Maybe this is the last one, so why don't we go over and discuss the IKM issue together? Because this has just been officially approved by the minister and subsequently formally handed over to the Speaker of the House of Representatives for prompt action. And today it brings very welcome news indeed, particularly for East Kalimantan, specifically for Penajam Paser Utara, which has been designated as an IKM area. As a basis for broader and more informed discussion, when we talk about companies or consider matters related to ICI, there are certain points of potential that could meaningfully support the people there, the dam in question, and we have managed to gather and share some information about it for all stakeholders.
Yes, that is what we mean by ICI. If we look at the satellite image, I could actually show it to you because we monitor this forest from space every 2 days. We have a complete image of the entire area, and everything surrounding it already shows fires and openings, which means that erosion is likely to begin and the fertility of the soil will decline. That area, Itzi, is the only region that remains green at the moment. If we are to provide water for 2.5 million people, we require a river basin that is wide enough and still in good condition. The data from these observations are regularly updated, and they cover the whole landscape around the forest. Well, in Itzi, Mr. Hashim at Arsari plans to turn it into a conservation area that would also function as ecotourism. But this 4,200-hectare lake would also serve as a site for floating solar panels. So above the water, at an altitude of 305 meters above sea level, the temperature, together with humidity and evaporation, makes the panels about 14% more efficient. So we could produce up to 1.5 gigawatts of renewable energy from sunlight alone, given the lake's conditions. And its islands would also become places to release wildlife that can no longer be returned to the wild due to pellet injuries in their eyes or birds that cannot fly. Those islands could later be visited by tourists. There could also be an educational center. The lake itself could also generate electricity from hydropower. Not a large amount, just 2 megawatts, but still a decent yield if we could obtain it for free from the flow. From the lake, by gravity, we can move water to the PPU, to Balikpapan, to Karyangau, to IKN, even all the way to Tangerang and Samarinda. If we look at the Mahakam River today, it is heavily polluted. The outflows now from palm oil plantations carry pesticides, fungicides, rodenticides, insecticides, and herbicides. These poisons are flowing into the Mahakam River, threatening fish, water, and people alike. From its coal mines, arsenic enters. From gold mines, cyanide or mercury now appears, and that river water itself is deadly to life for locals. From the forest openings up there, in both the downstream areas and the upstream stretches, erosion has been severe. Now, when we look at the satellite image, it appears yellow, with mud spilling from the banks into the channel. The sedimentation process is severely disrupting industrial activity and the local economy. But what is also happening are floods, and in the dry season, droughts and saltwater intrusion that penetrate far inland, bringing health problems and disease outbreaks. Therefore, on the Mahakam River, there is no longer any other place left to rely on for East Kalimantan's safety and stability if that forest is damaged. So if we defend the forest, we must not let it be damaged, but rather become a source of good jobs. We recognize the trees, we gather fruits, there is bamboo, there is rattan, and there are fragrant trees. There are various products from trees that produce resin. There is honey from the forest. All of this becomes many more jobs without harming the forest. And this kind of intercropping system exists in many places. The Dayak people here have a name, Lembo Lembo. This is an intercropping system of the Dayak people that has been practiced since old times and proven for hundreds of years. It does not damage the environment, but can sustain the Dayak people. Why don't we learn from nature, which has a system for circulating harmful elements, capturing sunlight that becomes energy and a useful product, while it also guards erosion? It keeps the water clean. So we, with the system I mentioned about biochar, will produce drinking water. When water comes from the tap, you no longer need to buy bottled water at all, really. It can be used directly with the same quality as Singapore's water too. So the new capital, if we can save the forest, everyone's health will truly be good for all of us here. We will see the death rate decline very soon. So this forest can become a forest of life for East Kalimantan.
Excuse me, sir, perhaps the last one. Sir, could you please share a short message with the public about the current state of the environment and what it means for us all?
Yes, the situation we face here in Indonesia is indeed quite heavy. There are many different people who claim tens of millions of hectares. In short, it is already more than half Kalimantan's forest, and its destruction is severe indeed. And the soil in Kalimantan is poor and degraded. If we were to clear vegetation, the soil would be destroyed completely and would become barren. Finally, it's all along, like Ebit GAD song. This journey feels very disheartening, and this, sadly, has already become a reality. Our place is in Catholic Setiwa, where there is always sunshine, where there is rain year-round, and the land remains so vast. We have the potential to become the richest in the world, but it must be managed properly. Now, this is my hope as a scientist. Hopefully, this knowledge can help improve the fortunes of many people. In East Kalimantan, this is. God willing, many will want to learn and apply environmentally friendly technologies in living and see the evidence that already exists of how their livelihoods can be better. Aren palm farmers in North Sulawesi, where we built the world's first Aren sugar factory from 30,000 rupiah per day for the poorest to now an average of about 320,000 rupiah per day. But there are farmers who tap more trees who are strong and enthusiastic. Their wages exceed 1 million rupiah per day. You can see the evidence.
We would like to express our sincere gratitude to you, sir, for taking up your time. It is a true source of pride for us, the Sampul Sayyid team, that you have welcomed us into discussions about matters addressed.
This has not been watched much yet. It has not been discussed.
Hopefully next time we can talk for longer. Let's talk about activities, because I haven't asked numerous questions yet. Let's talk about the orangutan issue. There are many requests, sir.
In Tuluk Balikpapan, the potential is extraordinary. A new study has just shown that there are 2,350 Bikantan here. This is the world's largest Bikantan population. The mangroves here in PPU are the most valuable in Southeast Asia. But there are still people who do not understand, focusing more on the shrimp than on the climate, focusing on crabs that the community could catch along with the fish they can obtain, and on the tourism potential. May we truly be aware that this nature is the very source of our life for all of us now.
Thank you very much indeed, sir. Okay, thank you. My name is Dedi Syed Hassan and Mr. Willie. As for me, thank you. If that's a burden to you, may peace be upon you and may God's mercy and blessings be with you.